What was our topic for today?
Our main, 50 minutes later, our topic for today is a Netflix Korean drama. So I guess Squid Game was the latest hit, but there's actually been a ton of like Netflix Korean dramas released, I don't know, in the past couple of years at least. And one of the popular ones, I think, what was it, from 2019?
It
maybe
was
2020.
released in January 31st to March 21st of 2020. So actually
Okay,
last
yeah.
year.
2020, last year. So Itaewon Class. It's a Netflix Korean drama.
I was the sky, never gonna change.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
So
God.
actually, Squid Game, obviously the biggest hit to date. It's not really your typical Korean drama, like by any means. Like, it's not at all your typical Korean drama, but Itaewon Class is slightly closer to your typical Korean drama. Obviously, it's different in a lot of key ways. That's kind of why we like it and we want to talk about it. It's a really good show. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
It's super accessible if you've never watched any K-dramas before, which is basically me, to be honest. I don't really watch too many, but
you gotta change that.
Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, a really well-made, accessible K-drama that was on Netflix.
Yeah, and it still is. I believe it's a Netflix original.
Yeah, Netflix original.
Although it was actually produced by JTBC, which is one of the, I don't think they're one of the big three, but they're like one of the top 5 broadcasting show or networks in Korea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do a lot of dramas as well as historical dramas and stuff like that. But Itaewon Class is actually based on a webtoon.
Right.
Is it based on a manhwa? Or is
What
it just based on a Japanese? So, manhwa? Yeah, the Korean manga?
Korean manga? I don't know. I know it's based on some type of like manga or like cartoon. Yeah, but anyway, it was made into this Netflix original series. So let's kind of summarize the concept of it. So I guess like we can start. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
So we can.
What did you just say? And just say it again.
So okay, let's just turn on spoiler warnings from this point.
Spoilers.
Okay, in case you want to like watch it, which we highly recommend. So unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to get credit for a review if you leave now, but come back after you watched it 16 hours later or whatever. But yeah, so basically the concept is about this guy. His name is Park Seo-lee. And
Park Seo-lee?
Yeah, Park Seo-lee. That's how they say it in the show. Yeah. If you watch the show, you'll know how to say his name by the end, for sure. But yeah, his name is Park Seo-lee. And so basically he is a headstrong guy, or he's like kind of lives by his own rules. And because of this, he gets into some trouble. He saw a guy. Man, it's really hard to explain. Okay, so he saw one of his classmates.
Want me to do it?
Let me try a little bit further.
Are you doing the episode or the entire synopsis?
I'm trying to do the entire synopsis. Okay, let's just do it really, really quick. So it's basically about this guy. He starts at the bottom. He's basically a high school dropout convict that starts his own bar and is trying to become the #1 food company in Korea in order to seek revenge against the CEO of the current number one food company in Korea for basically the death of his father.
괜찮아. Not bad. Not bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but there's like 100 more layers. But,
and he finds love on the way. Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt
He
about it.
finds love on the way too.
Everybody needs love. Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically typical Korean. In typical Korean fashion, it's a revenge story. I think that's the core story, is the revenge story.
Yeah. So what makes Itaewon Class kind of different compared to like other K-dramas and stuff?
Well, first of all, it explores different social issues that normally are not really explored in different Korean dramas. So Korea is, I guess you could say, it's still pretty conservative by Western standards.
But changing.
Like in terms of social issues like gay rights, things of that nature, different sexual orientations, race, I think classes within society. And that's kind of why a ton of Korean shows explore classism and like socioeconomic differences. But gender equality also a little bit more conservative, or a lot more conservative. So in a lot of ways, you could say it's kind of like 1950s in terms of, if you're comparing it to US eras, kind of like 1950s mindset in terms of some of these social issues. So I think Itaewon Class brings to light a lot of those issues, like gender fluidity, race versus nationality, classism, things like that. And it kind of takes a little bit of more liberal light to those, and but it's really lighthearted. It's not like going in on any of these. It's kind of just like, it's a really lighthearted show with a very nice, meaty, satisfying revenge story. But it kind of like explores these issues.
Also a pretty good soundtrack. Yeah.
To a banger soundtrack. That's probably one of the highlights of the show.
No, yeah.
Like it's only like 5 songs that you remember at the end, but those 5 are bangers.
Yeah. I'd say, social class is a huge thing in like dramas. I'd say the really cool thing that I really like about Itaewon Class is, in a lot of the other dramas, especially like the rom-coms and stuff, usually the guy is the rich dude, and it's never him losing his wealth. It's about usually the poor girl marrying the rich guy or getting with the rich guy. So like the only way that the story met its solution is by meeting a rich person, or by having more money becoming the main solution. You know, it's not about them rising up on their own, you know. Okay. I like Itaewon Class because you have the main character who
Burping sound.
His main flaw, or in a lot of people's eyes, is that he's a felon and he's a high school dropout. Like, just saying that about him, it's like people already are like, yo, we're not going to deal with this guy, kind of thing. You know?
Right.
Granted, in America, it's kind of similar, but not to that extent where it's like you would like actually ostracize him, kind of thing, or like not take him serious. And it's interesting that he was able to get to a level where, by episode 16, he had his own corporation, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the American dream, where he literally starts from the bottom of Korean society, and through his own pure willpower, is able to make it to the top of society. So that's very American dreamish, but a very like not typically Korean, I suppose.
Yeah, you don't see it very often. I mean, there are probably other shows and movies that I'm not thinking of that I've probably seen it, but this is kind of like the first like really mainstream and like accessible, especially since it's on Netflix. That I think that's why I connected with it.
I think the biggest thing that connected me to the show is just he's just an inspirational guy. Park Seo-yi, the main character. I think he's a little bit, maybe one flaw would be that he's just like too perfect. But yeah, like just him working really hard, and just basically taking everything into his own hands. One like aspect about him is that he never takes the easy way out of any situation. He always sticks by his beliefs, and if there's an easy way out, that's never an option for him. He's only going to do how he was raised or like how he believes is right. No matter what the cost is, like hard work or physical pain or like years off his life or like anything, or going to jail. He never sells out. He never cops out. He never takes the easy path, and yet through just grinding he's able to actually reach what he wants to do, maybe because his will is so strong. So that's really inspiring for me. I think like as humans, I think we're all tempted to take the easy way out in a lot of situations. I think a lot of us, there's like a balance between being the idealist and being a practical person. Because like sometimes you just sacrifice your ideals for something practical. And I think that's, as humans, a lot of people do that. So his love interest in the show, Oh Sua, I think she kind of represents the more practical approach to life, whereas Seo-yi is like 100% an idealist and never compromises at all. And that's kind of like what drives his character and what drives the entire story. So I think him just working really hard just makes me want to work hard as well, and not take the easy way out. So I wanted to see what happened to him, and I wanted to see like how he pushed through everything, and that's kind of what kept me watching the show.
Same.
So I guess it's kind of American-ish in that way, so that's why it's kind of like easy to get into, if you're American.
It's, I don't know, he's just the cool guy everyone wants to be, but everyone decides at some point in their life that it's not reasonable to be.
True.
Honestly,
exactly.
He's the personification of like all those like all the cool people you ever met in your life, just all in one person, you know?
Like who's your favorite character in the show?
Oh, of course, Seo-yi.
Like how can it be anyone else?
You know, it's like he's the one punch man of the
basically
of the show.
He's the one punch man of that show. Like everything revolves around him.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
See, I didn't really care about all the other characters as much because I don't know, the way that he approaches things, the way that he makes decisions of like even the way he runs a business, it's like I think was the lady mentor, I forget what her name was. Even she says it's like it's kind of you're kind of a dreamer, like trying not to like sacrifice people or like trying to get things your way. It's like it's not really feasible, you know. It's
right.
Like, that's literally like a kid's dream or like a pipe dream kind of approach, but he somehow makes it happen, which I think everyone wishes would happen, but I feel like people aren't capable of withstanding all the bad stuff that comes with that.
Exactly. He's kind of like a Jesus sort of figure.
I mean, I wouldn't put it that way, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe not to that extent, but you're totally
maybe
right.
Like a Paul or something, yeah.
There's so many things going against you in this world to prevent you from being that idealist and like living according to your true morals 100% of the time.